Meantime, investigations into President Biden's health during his time in office are ramping up. Congressional Republicans now turning to Biden's inner circle for answers. The House Oversight Committee now calling on the former president's doctor, along with 4 of his top aides, to appear before that panel voluntarily, otherwise face a subpoena.
The unelected bureaucrats that we believe had an overwhelming influence over Joe Biden and could have possibly been serving as de facto presidents of the United States. The first step to issue a successful subpoena is to offer someone an invitation, a sincere request to come in and answer questions. If they do not, the next step will be the subpoenas.
Chief Washington correspondent Mike Emanuel live with more on this for us. Good morning, Mike.
Jackie, good morning. In his letter to Dr. Kevin O'Connor, physician to President Biden, Oversight Chairman James Comer asks if the doctor contributed to an effort to hide former President Biden's fitness to serve. Comer writes, quote, in light of mounting evidence that confirms the committee's initial observation that President Biden was significantly unwell while serving in office, the committee seeks information to ensure accurate information was provided to the American people, and your health reports were not subject to any improper influence. Now Republicans are asking who was running the country. Comer expressing this concern.
During the end of the Biden administration, that our sources were telling us that Hunter Biden was spending more time in the Oval Office than Joe Biden. I said on some shows that Hunter Biden was essentially the de facto chief of staff.
On the Senate side, Ron Johnson has sent letters to 28 top Biden administration officials requesting voluntary interviews to members of the Biden cabinet like Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, and Biden White House Chief of Staff Jeff Zients, suggesting they should have spoken up.
If you have an infirmed and incapable president of the United States, they need to step up the plate and let the American people know that so that we can actually be governed by somebody who's competent.
Johnson notes the concerns raised by former Biden officials in recent books are quite contrary to public statements they made portraying the former president as healthy and mentally sharp. Jackie?
All right, Mike Emanuel, thank you.
So I want to bring in Shannon Bream, talk about this and a host of other things. How you doing, Shannon? Anchor of Fox News Sunday and Memorial Weekend. Hello, blessed Memorial Weekend to you. I thought what Mike said there was very interesting. There's voluntary interviews. Do you think much comes of this in the end?
Well, for now, they're voluntary. As you guys know, having covered D.C. for a long time in these hearings, I mean, these folks were already part of a hearing, many of them, or an investigation that had launched last year in the House. And so they didn't comply. They didn't come voluntarily. But that's where they're starting with the committee. I think it's a good first step to say, all right, we want to know what you know. But I don't think that means ruling out the fact that they may issue subpoenas at some point. So, yeah, maybe this is a friendly overture that the committee doesn't really expect to go anywhere, but they do have subpoena power if they need to use it.
So, Shannon, it looks like sort of the goal that Comer has is, in the end, to figure out who was in charge of the auto pen and throw out whatever orders or maybe, legislation even the president put his signature on. Or didn't, and see where that goes. Is that likely to succeed, that effort?
I think that's a really heavy lift, but I think you're right. That's part of where they want to go. All of those pardons that were signed and all of those last minute things that were done sort of en masse with this auto pen. Is there anything there that could be undone? We've heard the president talk about this quite a bit on social media, and he has, talked about it in various press conferences too. Jackie, you've been there, so I'll be interested to see where they go with that. But I will tell you this. I thought it was interesting in the book that's out, Original Sin, and we're going to have Alex Thompson on with us on Sunday to talk about this and dig into it. He specifically mentions Dr. Kevin O'Connor, who now is in the news because of this cancer diagnosis that's gone public. And he talks about Dr. O'Connor being maybe too close to the president to be objective about his health mentally and physically. So I think that Dr. Connor is going to be one of the top folks that they want to get under questioning.
Okay, another topic here. I don't know if the Supreme Court's worked this hard in the month of May. Right? I mean, maybe they have behind closed doors.
It is just nonstop.
So late yesterday, we got another decision. They went ahead and agreed with President Trump having the authority to terminate 2 appointees on behalf of President Joe Biden. And the reaction I was picking up online when this decision came across is that they were surprised that they allowed this to happen. It was an overwhelming vote. What did you make of it? What do you think it means?
It is a temporary win, but a big win for the Trump White House. And essentially what they said is these people can be fired. You can keep them out of these positions on these 2 federal boards, independent boards, while the case is proceeding. But the court was also very clear in noting we're not getting to the merits of this, of whether these firings are 100% going to hold, but we're allowing you to do them in the interim because they said, really, there's more harm to the government if the executive is forced to employ people that they don't feel like is carrying out the executive branch wishes than there is to telling somebody they can't have the job for now. So it's a temporary win, but also notable that the court specifically mentioned the Federal Reserve because there'd been an attempt by these plaintiffs to say, well, hey, if you let us get fired, then maybe that means that the president's door is open to firing Jerome Powell. The court was, very clear in an extra line or two in the decision yesterday to say we review the Federal Reserve as something completely different than these 2 boards.
Yeah, what this means for Jerome Powell is really the subtext to all of this. You got a big show coming up on Sunday. Senator Rand Paul among your guests. What are you going to be talking about? Give us a little preview, Shannon.
Well, we'll start with him he said no on the big, beautiful bill. So how does he get to a yes? Can they get him there? We've also got Alex Thompson, as I mentioned, from Original Sin, and Gary Sinise. I got to spend the day with him yesterday at Quantico, where he was putting on a free concert for the Marines out there. I can't tell you how many veterans from all different ages and conflicts stopped him to say thank you. He's one of the most humble guys ever. I can't wait for our viewers to get inside the look with him.
Good deal.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Shannon. Red, white,
have a great
blue
weekend.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. Enjoy it.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.